I've always been an artist, and it's just something that I've always had. You know, I've pushed it, and then I decided to really focus on it, and really, because you know, I was selling work. People were wanting to buy stuff, and I was like, you know what, the next level of this is just to have start having some shows, and start to really kind of push yourself out there. And I never really found any representation, because you don't find, it's kind of hard to find representation if you're in the level of art that I'm in. But really, just I pushed it really on myself. And then some people would say, you know what, do you really think that you chose to do this? And I'm like, you know what, no, I didn't. It kind of chose me. You know, the art kind of chose me. It's not the most glamorous financially at all, but you know, I get to create, and I've been fortunate, you know, over the 12 years to sell. You know, I've been fortunate to sell. When we first started out, it was me and a friend of mine, and we started out at a bar downtown, and you know, it was a industry night, so there was a lot of industry folks there, club owners and such, and just kind of started bouncing around the downtown night scene. You can walk into a bar and you can feel energy. Well, I pick up on that energy and I turn it into art. At one point we were doing stuff. We had 3 nights a week. We were producing work. At one point, and it just, you know, just kind of rolled into something, because nobody else in Houston was doing any of that. So we pushed it hard, because you know, we were creating. And the way that I know my friend was that we went to art school together. So, you know, we didn't get anything from art school, and kind of reverted back to what we knew, which was fine art, which is painting and drawing and stuff. And you know, before we knew it, we were continuously painting it, like every weekend, every Tuesday, you know, and producing a lot of work. And it just grew into what it is for me now, which is having a studio and having art shows and selling work, looking at other artists and really studying, you know, old masters, you know, all these old artists, and really kind of getting a grasp for their style, and then kind of incorporating things that I see around town that are artistic to me. Those are the sort of things that just kind of built me in my style, you know, in my technique. So I picked up, you know, like I picked up graffiti, impressionistic work. I try to use a little bit of, you know, old master work as well. And what's funny about that is that my style is completely an abstract style. It's more contemporary abstract. But over the years, you know, you get a little tighter, and you know, you start to, you know, figure out, maybe if I start doing this first and then kind of create with that. It's not really a learning process. It's just kind of like, you know, tweaking here and there. I've always had good inspiration from house music. I like house, considered a house head, if that's what if you want to get technical. You know, music is what unlocks me. So I will say that it will be house right now, but I could get a weird twinge and switch it to hip hop. I don't know. It's a live art event based around a benefit for leukemia. But initially it's all about doing live art. So it's me and like 6 other people, or 6 or 7, and we're going to be producing work live. And that's kind of, I think that's one of the reasons why they asked me to do it too, is because that's what I do. I think that, you know, along with that experience and the creativity and learning your technique and building technique, I think I've kind of slowed down to the point where I want to be a little bit more methodical, a little bit more, you know, planned, even though it's a spontaneous experience. A little nervous. I don't know why. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've painted live. Leading up to this event, I was, I was kind of nervous the whole point because I hadn't painted live in a while, so kind of wanted to center myself and not necessarily tune people out. Someone said you were wearing those to tune people out, and I'm like, well, I don't want to tune you out. I'm just trying to get in my zone. So, getting into my zone and listening to music. And like in that short period of time before I started, which was like an hour, I listened to like a lot of music just to get myself under control. And at that point, I really started to kind of feel stuff and really started to relax. And I guess if you want to call it that, I tuned it out and really got into my zone. So, the nervousness just kind of pushed away, Major inspiration for me is music. I guess I taught myself how to not really see, because I couldn't see for the longest time. I couldn't see, so listening to music completely opens these doors, and it's almost kind of a mental theatrics in a way. And you know, I finally kind of found, you know, what tracks I wanted to hear along the way, and really started to kind of vibe on those, and really really set in, you know, set myself into where I needed to be to do what I needed to do. It took a little getting used to, because, you know, I'm used to banging music and you know, rock and roll and house music, and people drinking and people breaking glasses and whatever. But, you know, after I kind of settled in with the music, I really started to kind of feel, you know, the anticipation of everybody, and you know, the environment it worked out. It worked out for me, so I liked it. I think that this event was an awesome success. I think that you know, the place itself is very inspiring, you know, because, you know, I'm looking at that the whole time thinking, man, this is sweet, man. Looking at the city, and people are watching, and really getting, you know, charged off of the vibe, and you know, all the creativity, because it's weird. You get a couple artists together, and you start to really, if you allow yourself, you start to feel something. You start to feel the creativity. And, you know, it's weird for me to say that because it sounds so hokey, but yeah, I mean, you know, the feeling of the event was amazing. I had a really good time doing it, and, you know, of course, I feel like if I hadn't had my music, I still would have probably pushed it out, you know, and I probably would have hooked it up, but the music, you know, just made it all the more better for me. I really liked it. I thought it was a really good event. A lot of the technique that I use is kind of a self-made technique. I used to do back in the day. You know, I used to use big brushes because that's all I could see, and using those big brushes and kind of using them like a felt tip or like a calligraphy pen, just kind of, you know, dabbing and doing broad strokes and so on. The beginning of the painting was done as a wash, and I started pushing that technique here just recently, trying to not start with a white background. You know, you start with a white background, and you know, the theory is you don't want any white to show, or as this lady used to tell me, holidays. You call it holidays because it looked like Christmas time amongst your painting, like little white snow caps and stuff. So I started doing washes. I'd do washes, and then on top of that I'd go over with maybe, you know, a sketch of some kind. And just basically building layers. So you're building each layer at a time, you know. So doing the wash, and then doing the sketch, and then after the sketch would come the abstract, the kind of impressionistic kind of feel, and that's the true feeling. What you would see, you know, the on the right side or the left side of the painting was true feeling. You know, the whole painting is feeling, but you know, the technique and just kind of marrying the two together is kind of the trick. You want to be able to, you know, give someone something to look at, but you don't want to confuse them at all, you know. But you want to give them enough to look at to where, you know, maybe they can put a little story together of their own. At the end of it all, you know, my technique is what creates inquiry for the person looking at the work. You know, I'd rather someone decide on what they see rather than me tell them, because 9 times out of 10 what I say is not what they see. You know, I was discussing that with some people earlier, but, you know, they saw something and I'm like, what did you see? And like, oh yeah, it's a little boy. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, little boy. Usually when I do events, I used to just do whatever I wanted to, and the feeling would push the feeling would actually push the piece. And now, after the years have gone by, and really trying to fit to a crowd, and in some kind of ways just being more strategic about actually painting the piece, tonight was all about kind of doing something kind of relaxed and subtle and kind of recognizable. Now, I thought that I was doing something very recognizable, which was the Buddha on the right side. And you know, that image to me is very calming. You know, I'm not a Buddhist, but I like the image. It's very calming. So, you know, doing the Buddha and you know, with the sky background, because everybody likes a blue sky. You know, everyone likes blue. Blue just seems to calm people down. You know, and then giving you a little bit of conflict on the left side. That whole piece was more about, you know, giving someone, you know, kind of playing on people's emotions just a little bit, you know, not too much to the point where they're scared of it, but just enough to where, you know, they can feel a little bit of everything and not be afraid. So that's kind of what the feeling was about. you know, there's been many times where I've come to an event and DJs know I'm coming to paint with them, and they're like, dude, what do you want to hear? And it's like, no, you know what, you you do what you do, I'm gonna do what I do, and it's just gonna happen. So it just builds itself, you know. He starts pushing it, and I just let him do what he does, and I do what I do, and through music is where it all kind of comes together. It just all kind of connects. You know, I'm choosing colors based off of, you know, the way I feel with certain tracks, and he's probably doing the same thing. But it's really just kind of happens on its own. I don't plan, and I'd rather not the DJ plan to do anything special. It's something that just happens. You know, for me, listening to listening to Marcus's tracks and knowing that, you know, he's gonna start, you know, jazzy and then go deep into the hole, as I like to call it. I like to call it the hole. And that's when, you know, that's when my mind starts to open up. But other than that, you know, it just happens. Everyone's got a DJ that they love. Marcus is one of mine. And I think, where did I see you the first time?
We met in one of the clubs. It's downtown, midtown, or somewhere.
Well, we just kind of struck up a friendship, you know, and it was all based through the music. And then we started hanging out, and I think I painted with you at one point at a major event or something like that.
You might have, probably so. And we were like, "Oh, you're an artist, you know?" And it was like, "Oh, you DJ?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, just kind of just built a friendship, and then. One of the days, Micah came up to me and said, "Hey, I got this idea, and you know, you want to do it?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And I mean, I really grasped the concept what he was trying to do, just by watching him paint with listen to an iPod, you know. And I said, if he's vibing off of that, just somebody else's stuff. I mean, what about something live? You know, that would be just totally different and connect on a totally different level.
I know that from my experience alone, I've had a lot of people that would come see my work and they'll see it live, and then they'll go to a random gallery and go, "Man, I had a good time. I really enjoyed the work." Normally they would say, "I normally don't like, it's too artsy for me," you know. But I try to pull you out of that zone. I try to pull you out of the assumptions of, oh, it's just too artsy for me, I can't do that, versus, you know, let me connect with you for a second, you know. So
just let him bring you into his world, experience what he experiences. I mean, just doing it live in front of somebody, it's just, you're just showing them. I mean, this is what I do. It's just like what he was saying with the people watching, going out to an art museum and just seeing paintings on the wall, and they don't know, how they created it. And it's the same way with people watching a DJ. They have no clue what they're doing behind that booth. I mean, and going and actually watching a DJ and see what they do and how they bring in a track, or, you know, pick a track, or just EQ knobs. I mean, it's just, it's totally different. It's just experienced, and, you know.
The concept, I don't think I'll ever stop doing it, you know. I'd like to do things on a bigger scale, you know, like with push brooms and and just go all out, you know. I want to go all out. I mean, we've talked about doing gonzo things where we just show up somewhere and throw down and then get out of there. I think it's an awesome concept, and you know, if you as an artist can allow yourself to do it and open yourself up, it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I came in the game late when he came to me with this idea, and I'm all for it. You know, it's just something totally unique, and art and music just go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, it's just, what better combination of art, music, live, unscripted, you know.
Unscripted.
I can't explain it any other way.
I think that's the best thing. That's it, really. Whenever art is made, it marks a period in time. You know, whenever someone makes a track, it marks a period in time. And, you know, this is all about, really, you know, if you want to get technical, it's about making history. And, you know, our lives, our world is completely surrounded by art. And art is what marks time for each decade, century, whatever, and it's been like that since the beginning of time. And, you know, my whole concept, along with bringing, you know, Marcus or any other DJ in, is to make history. You know, I want to mark some time, and every time that I do a painting, whether it's with a DJ or not, you're marking time. You know, everything has a time code now. Well, when this is all said and done, it's going to have 09. Someone's going to be like, what happened in 09? You know, or someone's going to see this video and go, what happened that day in 09? You know, so I'm all about making history. You know, not for myself, but just because in general, you know, I like it. That's what I want to do.